What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another exciting episode of Attack Productions. As you can see, I'm being joined once again by Jake.
What's going on, y'all?
And today we have Jake's profile on Gotenks Fusion Hiccup, which I didn't realize that the Gogeta was called Fusion Complete, so I thought it was pretty interesting between their two names. But this is a mono blue deck profile from the latest set. So yeah, buttons, click them, they're there. Jake, take it away.
All right, so if you haven't seen this leader before, mostly what it does is on the front side, every time once per turn, when you combo with a blue card, you're going to draw a card. And then when you have a Goten and a Trunks SH in either the drop area, Z energy, or one in each, you can go down to 6, restand 1, draw 1, and awaken. The big thing that's exciting about this leader is on the backside, you can pay a blue. Actually, let's go back a little bit. On the backside, when you swing, you draw a card and gain 5. And that's not once per turn or negate this skill or anything like that. And then, interestingly, if Gotenks on the backside attacks a battle card that's an energy cost of 8 or more, it stuns it for the following turn, and it can't switch back to active mode, which in some matchups can be pretty relevant, especially with big 8 drops that activate blocker. Like, I'm pretty sure the way that blocker is worded is it changes the target of the attack. So maybe this auto would stun a big blocker that's an 8 drop, but I'm not sure about that. Really, the big power on this leader is the activate battle. So you can pay a blue, and if you have a Goten and Trunks SH in your combo area, you can draw a card and switch a Gotenks SH card to active mode. And then at the end of the turn, you'll switch an energy to active mode, kind of like the way the Majin Buu Unison works. So with all that in mind, we're going to start with Trunks developing teamwork. This is a 15k revenge, oddly enough. We don't really care about the limit 1 effect. Mostly what we do is we go fetch this with other cards out of the deck or combo with this. But when it's played, we do get to draw a card. And if there is a Goten SH in our combo area, this will gain 5 for the turn. So kind of an interesting way. Plus with Revenge, this is a really gross card for your opponent to swing into. So the only time they're really going to take this off your board is with just straight up removal. Next, we've got Goten developing teamwork. This one's a blocker, and when it's played, we draw a card. And then this also has a similar effect where, I believe, if you have a Trunks in the combo area, you switch this back to active mode, and it can't attack for the turn. Kind of like the way the new one-armed Gohan from the future Z card works in the Trunks and Vegeta deck. So you get a little bit of pressure out of this, and then you can switch it back and block with it later. The main two we're really worried about is this Goten Tenacious Tag Team and Trunks Tenacious Tag Team. They both have effects when they come into play. I think the Tenacious Tag Team on the Trunks, it bounces a card to its owner's hand, and then the Tenacious Tag Team will bottom deck a battle card 4 or less. So these are decent, but really what we play these for is the activate main limit 1. You can pay a blue, chuck this to the drop area, and go get a Trunks to the board. So you can either get this for pressure, the developing teamwork, or you can go get a Tenacious Tag Team for removal, and vice versa on the Trunks. These are really good for putting into our drop area and getting our awakened condition fulfilled. Last part of this engine, we only play 2 of the Gotenks Reckless Rush. This card ends up being kind of awkward to actually attack and really end games with. So mostly what we use this for is a piece of barrier removal in blue, which is kind of hard to come by. And it's also going to draw us 2 cards when we fuse. So it's going to replace the cards that we fused with and dig us deeper into the deck. Spoiler, we're only running 50 cards. So that could be pretty relevant for us. But I'm really underwhelmed with this card so far because of how difficult it is to pull off the leader's ability. We do have things in the list that make that easier. This is one of those cards, actually the card that makes it easier. This is Goku and Vegeta, Immortal Rivalry. This is a deflect. If it's removed from the battle area, it just gets removed from the game. And when it's played, you draw a card. What we do this for, though, is the activate battle limit 1. So you can pay 1, and if your leader card is blue and this card is in your Z energy, you can discard a card from your hand and then combo with 2 cards from your drop area with 0-5k combo power, and their skills are negated for the turn. Fortunately for us, this doesn't remove their character types or their character names. So we just combo with any of these 0-5s from the drop and fulfill our leader effect every turn. And essentially what this does is on our turn, for 0 additional board presence, you get to attack with a 20k leader and draw a card. Draw a card off of the leader effect, which pays for the discard on Goku Vegeta Immortal Rivalry. And your first swing is going to be a 30k because you get 5 from swinging, and then you combo with this, and you get the combo power from those as well. And then we don't combo again, because if we do, then this comes into play. Would we want to just leave this in our Z energy and do it every turn? And then that restands the lead, and then the lead gets to swing again as a 25k and draw us another card. So we don't have to put cards on the board if we don't want to at all, which means most of our opponent's removal and things like that is just turned off in the mid-game. If we do want to put cards on the board, Piccolo the Infiltrator is a pretty one to play, especially with a couple copies of Pan Glimpse of Talent. We've talked about this card a lot on the channel. This combo right here is pretty stapley in blue, I feel like. You pay 2 for a 20k dual attacker, draw a card, and get a 5k combo, which basically is just goes straight to the Z energy for us. We play 3 Gohan Power Unshackled. This card is a really solid turn 1 play for us if we don't start with a Tenacious Tag Team, or if we don't go first. Basically, because this card comes into play cheaply off of comboing, on the front side it'll draw us a card, which just adds value to this already powerful floodgate. And we play 1 copy of Power Reclaimed. I could see you maybe playing more than one of this in the list. It is a pretty powerful card, but with no protections, it just dies pretty easily, and really you're playing it for the activate battle effect, with which, I mean, you do get an energy rebate on your leader, but with Sensu being gone, it's going to be pretty difficult to abuse this effect, so it makes it hard for me to justify playing more than 1 copy. Then we play 2 Baby Golden Avengers. I don't really think this card needs much explanation. Just strong counter effect, and since we are playing for a more mid-range playstyle, we're trying to live until turn 4 or 5, maybe even 6. And this is a great way to end games currently, because most blue decks are ending the game on turn 3 or 4 and don't even run this, so people aren't even expecting it to be a possibility. Super combos, we play Zeno. Secret Rare, we play Hatch. Alternately, if you have access to the Gohan, I think that's a fine Secret Rare in this deck if you wanted to play that. It just turns things a little bit more aggressive instead of defensive. That's really all that does. We play 1 Broly. Once we've got enough value out of our leader, or we have multiple copies of this stuff that we can just pitch after we overwhelm, we don't care about the drop area very much. So, this Broly is fine. And then we play Hidden Power Supreme Kai. Alternatively, if you had more removal in the list, maybe you could play Mira and Kai right here, or Mira Champa if that's your preference, but I'm fine with the Broly in the current state of the game. 4 Boo Unison, just really solid. Basically, this is your stabilization point if you want to play a control or a mid-range blue deck. If you can resolve this card, you're probably going to live an additional turn, which in us will put us in Golden Avenger range, and maybe we can get some shenanigans through and win the game. For extra cards, 2 Dimension Magic, 3 Child's Army. With Bean gone, for me personally, it's hard to play it over D-Magic, at least main board, just because this will hard negate an attack and then restand energy, which we do have a couple of 1+10Ks that we could combo with off of this, but in an aggressive matchup, it's probably better to take this out for Sensu Bean, which, spoilers, is in the sideboard. We played 2 of these Realm of the Gods. Red Sin is still running around, and a lot of our removal is either pretty expensive in Reckless Rush or doesn't effect that the big red sin with Tenacious Tag Team. This one will hit like Dread Destroyer and all the little guys, but won't take care of the big boy. So this is nice to have, and like most of the cards in this list, it draws us a card when it comes in one way or another. So it's just another way to help us filter through the deck. And then this card is actually a Wild Fighter is Born. This will let you go into the deck or drop area and add one Goten and one Trunks SH to your hand. Deck Planet just didn't have that extra card on the site for whatever reason. So that's why I've got Intersecting Fates here.
I was really thrown off.
Yeah. Z-Deck. We play one of these new Goku Stronger Togethers. I haven't got to activate this effect yet, although it is relevant to mention that it will proc off of your Goku and Vegeta Immortal Rivalry, so you can kind of do some interesting shenanigans there if you're really down to the wire in a game. More likely we're going to play this Beerus Ally Annihilator, just a really solid pressure piece in blue right now and hard to remove with the barrier. 2 sell for board wipes. One of these Vegito Godly Spirits. Again, if we get down to the wire and don't really have a Golden Avenger or something, it's nice to just have a big triple striker to try and end the game with. And then 1 copy of Surmounting the Impossible. I think literally every deck is playing this right now. Sideboard. We play 2 of these Goku Black, Mortals Be Gone. The more I play with this card, the less I like it. I think it's better in the late game than it is in the early game. And in the late game, it's just gonna stop kind of an innocuous attack, most likely. I think this deck has better homes in other Z decks. In other decks, excuse me. Very often, our only Z energy will be this Immortal Rivalry, unless we're specifically like aiming to play a Cell or something. So it just isn't live most of the time for us, and I'm probably looking to replace it. 2 Turning the Tide. Since we are a blue deck, we can pivot into a more lockdown strategy, and against other mid-range decks, we can try and become the more controlling deck in the matchup and try and end the game with something like Turning the Tide. Especially since we can play Tide, swing lead, draw a card, get plus 5k, and then we have a card in hand to activate this if we some ungodly way have reached 8 energy, and we can get a little bit more pressure that way. 3 Dirty Burst. This card isn't as good as it used to be in the meta, especially considering that this Gohan Power Unshackled can pretty much shut down the SS4 Gogeta deck on its own. And we do have an extra copy of that in the board as well. But this is nice to deal with other big bombs in the format. And at worst, it's a 1-drop negate. So just something else to push us more into a defensive plan if we want to board into Tide. Extra copy of D-Magic for the same reason. We already touched on the extra copy of Power Unshackled. 2 Bean. This comes in against anything that's going to be attacking us down, like Blue Gohan or Red Sin. 2 God Sealing Technique. Yellow Sin hasn't really been around very much, but I think it's always nice to have something against an Alpha Strike play that's going to play multiple battle cards at a time, and you can just say no to the entire thing. I think Vermilion Saiyans, is that the battle card? Or is that the extra card, the secret rare?
The negate one?
Yeah, but it can also play a ton
SS4.
of...
Yeah, if you're playing the SS4 deck.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that comes to mind when you think about God Sealing Technique, and that Bardock deck has been running around a little bit because it benefits from some of the cards that have been released recently. And then I wanted to find room for this in the main, and maybe I'll just jam it in there for next week and see how I feel about it. But this is Gohan and Piccolo Heroic Team. Kind of expensive to play in our list, where you're going to have to combo 3 cards and then pay an energy to board it. But it is a dual attacker that's going to remove cards from play when you do actually attack with it. So just something to think about if you're in a more grindy mid-range game and you need a little bit more removal. But that's the list. Just a little bit slower blue deck that might be fun to try now that competitive play is winding down for the rest of the year.
And it's not bad. Once again, guys, there's buttons down below. Feel free to click there for a reason. Jake, would you like to lead us out?
Give this deck a try. Let me know what you think. Read your cards, know your plays. Let us make the mistakes so that you don't have to, and fluff out.